What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1018 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I have to thank Shane for the well wishes. This is a 20, so I don't want to forget to read it. Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. I hope you're feeling better. Mary, honey update. I tried the brandy version, and it's great. Might go nicely with crescents, a nice glass of wine, some cheese. A Humboldt fog cheese would pair well. I am not nearly as knowledgeable about cheeses.
I don't know what any of that was that was just said.
So we were talking about this creamed honey that is made by monks, and one of the flavors that they do is brandy. I liked the almond one myself, but that does sound very enjoyable, Shane. And thank you for the well wishes. I am not totally 100% yet. I'm just like having those lingering symptoms, and my voice is kind of shot today. So apologies if I'm like coughing every other sentence today. That's just what it's gonna be.
Well, I said right before we went live, like, we'll see how your voice holds up, and if like after we get done with the fourth topic, if your voice is feeling shot, we'll just go to Superchats and we'll just hang out with everybody in the chat, which will require less of you vocally.
Yeah, we're just gonna vibe.
That's what we're gonna do. It's Friday. And you know what? Just because we had to do it yesterday, we're gonna do it again today. We are manifesting no tech issues whatsoever as I knock on this thing that's like fake wood here. I don't know what this is actually made out of, but we're gonna manifest hopefully no tech issues today. We want to go into the weekend smooth. So we'll get into a bunch of stuff today. Hit the like button on this episode, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate. There's got to be somebody that you dislike that you want to share this show with. I bet you want to argue about it. You should do that. You should share that with them, and then you should get into the comments and you should fight about whatever it is that we are talking about. And then it can be great for you because you get to fight with someone, and we get the engagement. It's a win-win for literally everyone involved. So what are we getting into today? We have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We are going to talk about the Euphoria Season 3 promotional tour, or kind of lack thereof in a way. It feels like Season 3 of Euphoria is going to be a bit of a train wreck, or at the very least a media spectacle for everybody to point and laugh at. And we will have to wait and see how that turns out. But there's a lot of information coming out about it, so we will discuss it. We are also going to talk about Rebel Wilson, because what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you go on the internet and you share some type of opinion that people don't like, I want you to keep that in mind if you ever start to doubt yourself, whether you're a good person or not. Because what you need to understand is that while you might have an opinion that other people don't like, people like Rebel Wilson allegedly exist to hire PR firms to spin up complete fabrications about a person with a, I don't even know if I can say the word this early into the show. I think we have to get past like the 7-minute mark before we can say stuff like this. SEX trafficking? That's what HE double hockey sticks? I don't know if we can say those phrases. What the? Basically, Rebel Wilson hired a PR firm, to write up a smear campaign about a woman who produced one of her movies, her directorial debut, as a matter of fact, to smear this woman as a sex trafficker on behalf of the boss of her production company, because people in Hollywood are evil.
Allegedly, by the way.
Allegedly. Yes. Well, that's what the article states.
Next, we're next on Rebel Wilson's shit list now that you said that.
Well, you know. So we're going to get into it because if that turns out to be true, and as we've seen with everything that went on with Johnny Depp, who's also kind of quasi-named in all of this by virtue of all of these, crisis PR firms work for the same people. There's a lot of evil going on in Hollywood. It's not just the traditional type of evil. It's this type of evil. So we'll get into that. Also, we are going to talk about Nicole Kidman because she is on an unhinged PR tour. I don't even know what she's promoting. It can't be her new show Scarpetta, which I tried to watch and it was so freaking boring I had to turn it off like 20 minutes in, because she's way more interesting than anything on this show. That is for sure.
Well, yeah, it's hard to tell why celebrities even go on press tours now, because I didn't even know about her new show. I just knew about all of this unhinged shit that she was saying on podcasts.
You're better off not knowing about it. That's how boring it is. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready to go, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Well, let's go for it then.
So we are coming up on the third and final season of Euphoria on HBO. And it already feels like another iteration of Stranger Things where everybody is just desperate to finally put this to rest. And it looks like behind the scenes, the press tour is getting incredibly ugly and they're panicked about how to promote this show. HBO is apparently disappointed with the marketing for the new season of Euphoria and will be using an emergency plan to generate more attention.
Oh, your microphone cut out. So let's see if you can reconnect that there. Yeah, the weird thing about this, guys, is this show was actually filmed quite a while ago, and now we're on this weird part of the press tour where, with what's going on right now, they don't even have Sydney Sweeney to promote it because she's got her own stuff going on. She's making
back?
Yeah, you're back. She's making weird videos for Siren, which looks like CERN. They're doing, and also I was looking at, this may seem weird, I was looking at the Reddit for Euphoria, and all I could think about is how the fans of Euphoria probably hate her. Like, the audience of Euphoria is almost the antithesis of the audience that Sydney Sweeney has garnered, so it's no wonder that the promotional tour for this is a mess.
Yeah, there is a lot of backlash also being sent Sam Levinson's way. He is the director of Euphoria and also the Trainwreck show starring Lily Rose Depp, The Idol. And of course, his reputation is that he puts teenage characters in highly sexualized scenarios in his content. This season is no exception. In fact, he's just doubling down on that theme, even though it's something everyone has already seen from him before. Now it basically seems like the conclusion of all of these characters' storylines is that they are prostitutes. And that includes Sydney Sweeney's character. Then there is Zendaya's character, Rue, who is rumored to begin working as a prostitute in this season.
Rue is
Then there is
weird...
Hunter Schafer's character Jules, who will be a sugar baby, which is also another version of a prostitute in this season. And basically everyone is a prostitute in season 3 of Euphoria. On top of that, Alexa Demi's character becomes some sort of madame at a strip club. She's like running a strip club prostitution ring. So everyone is just, a prostitute in this new season. And I am not surprised by that whatsoever because Sam Levinson, I mean, it's almost impressive, as I've said before, that he has been able to convince people that he's some sort of genius, creative, who, really pushes boundaries when in reality, this whole thing is just an outlet for his gooner fantasies.
Do you think
he has zero new ideas and he just made all of the characters into prostitutes?
What I would like to know is what does count as like a visionary creative in Hollywood in 2026
these days?
Yeah, what counts as a like I said, they're making a I never saw the movie Single White Female, so don't tase me, bro. But I never saw it. But it's a thriller, from everything that I've read, that it was a thriller back in the day, and now they're making Single Female because they didn't want to cast any white chicks in it, apparently, with Jenna Ortega. I don't remember the other actress's name. And the first comment I saw was like, Jenna Ortega should fire her agent. Like, who's getting you these roles? Who's a director that's actually doing something that isn't a la Euphoria or Single Female? There's got to be somebody out there that's actually pushing boundaries in a way that's artistic.
Well, a lot of people would say that's Emerald Fennell, actually. But
maybe, but nobody's actually, like, I don't know if anybody's looking at it as pushing the boundaries. I guess at the very least, you're pushing the boundaries of like how we're adapting projects these days, as opposed to like coming up with new material. Like, right. Sinners is like the last movie that I can think of that was, I guess, not based on an IP and was its own thing.
I even think Sinners is repetitive garbage because it's just another white people bad movie.
But it's I guess also it's based around the vampire lore, which at the very least required a lot of research to get right. Mm-hmm. But in general, most of the directors aren't even going to be getting the money to be given their own properties these days because they're going to be expected to make stuff based on prior adaptations or prior lore.
And of course, Sydney Sweeney is catching a renewed wave of hate for the promotion of season 3. She was notably excluded from this photo shoot of the co-stars Zendaya, Alexa Demie, Maud Apatow, and Hunter Schafer. And all of the replies are saying that these women on the show refused to be in the same room as Sydney Sweeney, when in reality, they're just the least busy.
Yeah.
I'm sure Sydney Sweeney would have been there had she not had other commitments. But
Zendaya's
she's the most busy and booked member of the cast.
Zendaya's not busy?
Zendaya is still, I think, the most famous actress in the show. However, she's not on as many new projects as Sydney Sweeney. I think Sydney Sweeney has like 5 things in the works right now, plus all of the brand deals that she does. She just probably had other things to do, better things to do than a photo shoot with the cast. And this is playing into the rumors that were going around claiming that Zendaya was refusing to be pictured side by side with Sydney Sweeney following the American Eagle ad campaign that she did last year. I don't actually think that those rumors were substantiated. I think she has at least the bare minimum of professionalism, where she understands that she has to be on a friendly, civil basis with her co-stars, and she wouldn't make such an outrageous demand. But all of the rumors are receiving new attention. One of the replies said, Zendaya really said no press with Sydney. We'll see if that continues, if they'll do any interviews together. And on top of that, there is an artist who created the theme song and soundtrack for the first 2 seasons of Euphoria, who goes by the name Labyrinth. And in a new Instagram post from last night, he just said, I'm done with this industry. F Columbia. He's talking about his record label, I assume.
Yes.
And double F Euphoria. I'm out. Thank you and good night.
See, the thing, back in the day when artists would have crash outs, they wouldn't have social media to crash out on.
It appears that also a makeup artist who worked behind the scenes on Euphoria commented on his post in solidarity with him. And he still has not explained himself why he's saying F Euphoria, or what, injustice was done to him that would, precede this post. But basically, people are saying that, much like what happened with The Idol, there's going to be some massive expose about the hell that went on in the production of season 3 of Euphoria. And we have yet to find out all of the egregious misconduct that's going on behind the scenes.
I was curious, so I decided to check, because I saw somebody in the chat say that Zendaya has more stuff in the works than Sydney. So I went to IMDb, because there's what's called the upcoming section on IMDb. And as of right now, Zendaya has 6 upcoming projects in the works. The drama, obviously we've talked about that. Euphoria, season 3. The Odyssey, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Dune Part 3, and Shrek 5. So we've got that.
Shrek?
Yep. She's playing Felicia. So we've got that. And then now Sydney Sweeney has not 6, but she has 7 projects in the works. Now, the difference is they are not of the scale. Notice that all of the ones we mentioned from Zendaya were like Spider-Man and Shrek,
and a Nolan film. Like, you can be on a Shrek sequel and a Christopher Nolan film at the same time.
So she's got Euphoria, The Housemaid's Secret. That one is still rumored, but says it's in pre-production. Split Fiction. That's the video game adaptation. Scandalous. I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl. Oh, God, that sounds like the most pretentious thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl. Gundam and Custom of the Country. So those are all her projects that are in the works right now.
Whatever happened to Barbarella, by the way?
I wonder if that was just one of those ones where the internet made it up and it never, they're like, you know what? She should make that movie. And then it just was never true.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But the asymmetry there is that Zendaya was the star of the beginning of Euphoria. She was always the most famous member of the cast. And Sydney Sweeney, on the other hand, is the one who I think benefited from the platform of getting cast in Euphoria the most. So she grew the most as a star throughout the production of Euphoria, whereas Zendaya was already super famous before.
So how is the idea for Zendaya then? Because she came from Disney fame. She was Disney, right? Not Nickelodeon,
yeah.
Right? I was obviously not.
That's how I was introduced to Zendaya when she was on Shake It Up on Disney Channel.
So she came from Disney. So I'm guessing that for her as an artist, the point was to grow up by doing Euphoria. Right. That was her moment to prove that she's not a Disney. That was her Miley Cyrus her Robin Thicke moment was 2 seasons of Euphoria.
Sure.
To prove that she's not a child anymore. And to, I guess, push her towards projects that are a bit more like art house, like Challengers, and I don't know what some of the other ones were that because she was already doing Spider-Man by 2017, I think. That's when Brand New Day, or not Brand New Day, whatever the first one was, Homecoming came out, like 2017 or something like that. So she was already making her way into fame and adulthood. It's actually kind of interesting that I've never thought about this before, that she got to do a Marvel movie where she's playing a character that's alongside somebody that's, good for kids to watch. And then she's doing Euphoria pretty much around the same time as the second movie came out. She was doing adult content on HBO and Spider-Man, which is for kids, on Marvel.
Yeah, Zendaya plays a really convincing crackhead.
She does.
I must say. She's pretty good at that. And Sydney Sweeney just had to kind of pretend to be a stupid slut who cries a lot.
I mean, that's perfect too. She's great at that.
Yeah.
they do their jobs well. They fit the casting perfectly. That's awesome.
So I guess we'll have to see how this press tour concludes.
Do you believe it's what they're saying, or do you believe it's just scheduling and that, because as we've talked about instantly, Sydney Sweeney for the most part is a Rorschach test, and she doesn't really speak a whole ton about her politics. The most you could hear about it is that she was supposedly, I guess she's registered as a Republican in Florida, or at least that's what I remember the story being. Be hilarious if it was like just another woman named Sydney Sweeney. But the point being is that she goes to the GLAAD events. She's friends with Hunter Schafer remember they all did karaoke or something? Yeah. Like she's dyed in the wool with, liberal progressive ideas on social issues, but it's the internet that judges her so. I don't know if I buy that Zendaya spends enough time on X to really hate Sydney Sweeney.
Right. And the teenagers on Stan Twitter want to believe that the rest of the Euphoria cast is excluding Sydney Sweeney from the promo, but even after the American Eagle campaign, they were on social outings together as friends. They're still all apparently on good terms. Nothing changed. This is their job. They are professionals. They're grown adults, even though they play teenagers. Yep. So I think that they couldn't care less about the controversies in Sydney Sweeney.
In the chat, the last Boy Scout says, "How was that boxing movie she did?" Well, nobody knows because nobody watched it. Literally nobody saw it.
I didn't see it, so yeah, I have no idea if it was good or not.
Let's call this week. If there was some type of like special day for PCC, this week will forever be known. Starting next year, maybe Monday of next year, like year to year, will be Timothée Chalamet Day, because we've covered so much Timothée Chalamet. Because it's Friday the 13th today, so maybe if there's a Friday the 13th next March, that will be Timothée Chalamet Day.
Yeah. Timothée Chalamet has caused what I would believe is mass psychosis in Hollywood, on social media, and the art world at large, with these comments about ballet and opera being dead art forms. And I have to say, nothing stays in the headlines in the news cycle for over a week straight unless there is some payola going on.
Oh, yeah,
this appears to be so inorganic and orchestrated for the purposes of tarnishing his reputation prior to the Oscars, which are going to take place actually on the Ides of March this Sunday. And his chances of winning an Oscar were already slim So I have no idea why this would have even been necessary to ruin his chances. But yeah, he is still being dragged by literally everyone. Like, it was Whoopi Goldberg, it was Doja Cat, it was Jamie Lee Curtis, countless opera singers, countless ballerinas, other public figures in the art world, in Hollywood, just constantly talking shit about him.
Polymarket is involved somehow.
Even Polymarket did this bizarre stunt where they staged a ballet to the tune of this song that was on the Marty Supreme soundtrack. And they are using this to get people to bet on his odds in the Oscars.
You can't tell me that this didn't require a publicist, somebody in PR, somebody who runs social media behind the scenes with the people who are all involved in the back end of Hollywood. There's no way that somebody just woke up one day and thought, this would be a good idea, and then got a business deal with Polymarket.
This is fake and gay, guys.
Yes,
and you cannot claim the moral high ground while promoting basically insider trading in the form of Polymarket bets. There is certainly some shady stuff going on behind the scenes. And Doja Cat, I have to applaud her for saying the realest shit ever. At least the realest social media post that I've seen in a long time, and perhaps will see in a long time. She criticized Timothy at first on TikTok for his statements about ballet and opera, and then very shortly after walked it back and explained that she merely jumped on the hate bandwagon for attention and some feeling of connection with an audience. She said in full, "I took it upon myself yesterday to kind of give it to the man, because there's a culture based around outrage and things like that. And people want to feel like they're a part of something. It's a need to connect, whether good or bad. What I was doing yesterday was virtue signaling because I wanted to connect. And I knew that Timothy's goof up was something that I could leverage in order for people to connect with me and fuck with me. And it's easy. It's a modern way to garner clicks, likes, approval, and all kinds of things like that from people. And so I did that yesterday, and I didn't really think about why I was doing it. I don't know anything about opera. I don't know anything about ballet, and I've never been to either shows."
So this is what I find funniest about this. I could actually 110% buy that she has been to a ballet or an opera, and this is also a troll.
Yeah, you never know with Doja Cat, like, whether this is also a stunt for attention, but it does appear to come from an earnest place. I could be, naive and falling for her ploys, but I think that this is a very real, honest admission of the incentive structures on social media to, jump on the popular side of an outrage mob and, poke fun against the person who is the target of the week. And even though you have zero personal investment in the subject, as she admitted, you're using it to get, likes and
Let me ask
clout.
you a question. What was the last thing that you did similar to what she's talking about here? Who's somebody that you've leveraged for clicks?
Gosh, something that I've posted about that I don't actually care about.
Yeah, like is there anything that you've ever posted about that you don't necessarily care about at all, but you're like, you know what, I'm gonna hit people with it today?
Gosh, I was thinking about this yesterday after seeing the Doja Cat quote, and I feel like something came to mind, but now I'm blanking on it. I feel like something I talked about on Instagram that after the fact I was like, I actually didn't feel that personally invested in it.
It's like a side effect of your job in a way. Like you kind of gotta have a take.
One of them might have been the Zara Larson post where she was saying that she loves criminals. Like, I wasn't particularly shocked or emotionally affected by that post, but I felt that, if I commented on it, that would be beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, though, I find that I get the best engagement when I'm talking about something I actually care about.
Yeah.
Like, would you say that you have a similar experience? Like, you get better engagement when you actually have skin in the game?
I don't know. No, like I don't. Not for me personally. Like most of the time for me is I feel so detached from everything that I post about most of the time, unless it's like a TV show that I'm watching and I'm getting annoyed at. Those ones will get me like heated, but everything else, it's like that. Have you ever heard the phrase where it's like, everything I say, I'm joking unless you agree with me? Like that's how I feel about it. Like today I posted, like there was the thing that says Meghan Markle surprises patients at Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. And I just said, what the hell did those kids do wrong? But it's actually still kind of a nice thing for her to go to a children's hospital. I don't know if any of the kids are actually going to know who she is. Right? Like,
yeah.
Like I don't think any of those kids have watched Suits or saw her episodes of Deal or No Deal.
No,
but
she was like LARPing as Princess Di, shaking the hands of an AIDS victim.
Carnell in the chat says Brett only comments on things he's actually invested in. I don't know about that. Like, I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on what you consider invested, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's just funny.
Yeah,
and there's no reason to take it that seriously. But I think that Jamie Marshall put it best. She said, you have to be incredibly immature to not grasp that ballet and opera are very old world arts with very niche followings, and that's exactly what Timothy fears happening to movies, not because it says anything about the quality of the art, but about the interest that people have in it. And people's brains are so broken that they weren't even willing to entertain this charitable interpretation of his point. And it's led to them falling into this pitfall that Doja Cat was talking about. Like this headline from Deadline, Nathan Lane has harsh words for schmuck Timothy Chalamet, tells The View no one cares about ping pong.
Honestly, I'm here
it's
for...
a ping pong movie.
I'm here for schmuck getting brought back. It's a representative term from an older generation. We need to bring back that and calling people a putz.
But you know what? I think that the opera singers and the ballerinas should take their hats off and thank Timothy Chalamet for all of the free PR that he has done for them. This CEO of Opera Australia named Alex Budd commented on it saying, Timothy Chalamet, Opera Australia wants to thank you. In a recent interview, he suggested that opera and ballet are art forms people are trying to keep alive even though nobody cares. In a single sentence, he managed to do what our marketing team spends weeks trying to achieve, getting the world talking about opera. So he actually did the art world a major favor. Mm-hmm. And I bet that there are people considering attending an opera or a ballet for the first time simply out of spite for what Timothy said. They should be thankful.
I brought this story up to the lady cleaning my teeth today. She loves the ballet and the opera. And
wow.
She was just like, she understood what I was saying when I brought up that he was speaking of it from a financial standpoint of somebody who works in the industry and not from the people that are necessarily fans of it, and asking about like the price of the tickets and stuff like that. I brought up your point, like most people don't know the price of the tickets. She talked about how when she was young, the first one she ever went to was the Nutcracker, and it was all fancy, and she'd never done anything that fancy before. And the first time her and her husband went to one when they were grown up, they got really dressed up, and everybody there was in like jeans and a t-shirt, and it was really like embarrassing for the husband's like, why did you make us dress like this? And I was like, see, but that's the thing. They need to make movies where they show that you can go to these things as regular people, and they might actually get people to try it more.
In a way, I guess it's kind of a status marker to show up to an opera in jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because you're like, no, this is just a normal Friday night for me. Like, I go to the opera so often that I might as well just show up in my pajamas. And this is just my thing.
I wonder if the opera singers are more offended than the ballet. Like, maybe this is just me, but I feel like if I was somebody who was in ballet, the amount of skill and determination, rigorous dedication to your craft despite the pain that it causes, this should roll right off your back. You're like, bro, have you seen my toes? My feet are destroyed. Like, your words mean nothing to me.
Yeah, you would think that they would be confident enough in the merits of their own skills and their art form that something like this throwaway comment wouldn't wound their ego so deeply. But clearly it hit home for a reason. And the reason is that Timothée Chalamet's point ultimately was correct.
Yeah, if you weren't worried about it.
That's not a good thing.
If you weren't worried about it, the comments would roll right off your back.
Yeah, it's not a good thing that Timothy was right in saying that these art forms are irrelevant. It would be better for society if they weren't, but that is the unfortunate reality that we're living in.
Also,
and he was just saying that this spells disaster for all forms of entertainment that require people to leave their home.
Yeah, he's on the right path for them, and maybe he'll pivot, or maybe know what the best outcome for this could be. We're gonna find out, and this was all a marketing ploy. His next role is playing an opera singer who also does ballet in some indie movie that's going to end up making a ton of money because he's going to prove that it was all a ploy the whole time.
The best outcome for this, actually, the best redemption arc would be Timothy ultimately winning Best Actor at the Oscars this weekend, but I don't think that was even going to happen before the controversy arose.
No, it wasn't. But
because they're obsessed with the idea of giving it to Michael B. Jordan.
But the Oscars have benefited from all of the extra PR that he's bringing in for them.
Yes. So the Oscars are also not an art form, but it's a broadcast that has lost major cultural relevance, and the ratings are lower and lower every year. They should also thank Timothy for attracting more attention and eyeballs to their broadcast.
All right. I'm going to read this 20 over on Rumble before we move on. This one's from Wolfman Jack. It says, they are dying art forms. Anecdotal, but my spouse is a dance teacher. Her special is ballet, and she talks about how she has less and less students, and they don't like it seriously half the time. They don't take it seriously.
I saw a post the other week from a girl who grew up in dance in the 2000s. And she was saying that when she visited a dance class of children, more recently, she realized that the culture has completely changed.
How so?
Where these children can't take harsh instruction.
Oh, yeah.
And they cry at the slightest correction from their instructor. And in the 2000s, from her experience, it was like a boot camp. Like they were, held to very strict standards of behavior. They weren't allowed to have an attitude. They, had to be punctual and obedient and take their art form very seriously. And these days, dance instructors have to, basically be kindergarten teachers for kids who are way too old to justify that. And I think that might be one major reason why it's a dying art form, is because even the people, who grew up with it find it unrecognizable now.
It's, that's something that I imagine is being lost for both boys and girls. I wonder if the example for men, obviously there are men that do ballet and there are men that do opera, but the point for men would be like, what's it like being a coach now for sports? If they don't hold you to the same high standards that they tried to hold kids to when they were playing before. Because, that was true for us. Like, you did not want to be late for practice. You didn't want to goof off during practice lest you be given laps or rushing circles or something like that. Like, you took it seriously. And at the very least, your parents should tell you to take it seriously. Because my dad worked for, like, the Army Corps of Engineers. We didn't have hockey money. But I played hockey, right? So they're paying a lot of money for me to go do this. They don't want me to go in there and not take it seriously. Now, they never pushed it on me in a way that made it seem, like I had to do this. But my dad loved hockey. I loved hockey. And it did a disservice to them if I didn't take it as seriously as the amount of money it warrants.
Yeah, part of that was also, just living in a higher trust society where the parents entrusted a level of authority over their children to another adult.
Yeah.
And expected their children to be obedient to this other adult's instruction.
Yep.
And nowadays, it's this adversarial relationship between parents and teachers where parents are always going to take their kid's side, even if their kid is in the wrong.
Yeah, I still have memories of during a game we won. It was like what, 2-1, 3-2. We were up by 1 goal, and it was down to the last 10 seconds, and they were in our zone, and I like tapped on the glass rather than pay attention to the puck. I was very young, and the coach like yelled. And
during or after?
After the game, right? In the locker room. And to this day, I still think about that. I learned a lesson from that you do
That's
not.
That's a formative experience.
It's stuck in my brain to this day. And if kids aren't getting that type of pushback from their coaches, then what the hell is having the coach there for anyways, other than to just corral you? Then all you need is a chaperone, not a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got a couple of 20s there. Do you see them?
Let me find these.
I think the first one is from Kyle Dixon.
Yes. Fun fact, the schmuck is a Jewish term for the piece of skin removed during a circumcision. Grade A insult. I had no idea. Thank you for educating me.
I didn't know that either.
We have another 20 from Francisco Sanchez Jr. I've seen a few operas, including some at Lincoln Center. I've never dressed up for any of them. As for ballet, meh, it's boring, even Swan Lake. Now, if you make a break into electric boogaloo ballet, I'm in.
There you go.
I still think that, if people did dress up for the opera or for a ballet, that would be cool, but it's also not necessary if that's going to drive people away from giving it a chance.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first today.
All right, here we go.
This one is just bizarre. Like, I don't know what to make of it.
All right, here we go. This is from SwissWatches.com. Okay, then. Here we go. Hold on, refresh.
Yes, ma'am. How are you? What brings you in today?
Hi, I'm trying to sell this watch.
Okay, let's take a look at this. This is a nice one. I mean, I can just tell off the back.
It's obviously fake. There's just a person there holding a camera.
Back in the box is a nice one.
Yep, I
oh,
kept
wow.
all of it. Kept
Rolex
all of it.
midsize, 31 millimeter. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, you have the box paper.
The whole
That's
thing
great.
is in there.
And how much were you hoping to get out of it?
2,000.
Okay, and just 2,000?
Just 2,000.
May I ask why you're looking for so little?
I just want 2,000.
Okay, I gotcha.
Gotcha?
The thing
That seems like something you call the cops over, because maybe it's stolen.
about it is this watch is worth more like 6,000 to 7,000 to me.
And you're hearing me when I say 2,000, right?
Yes. I just want to make sure that I'm taking care of you. I mean, I would love to buy it for like $5,000. That would be a great deal.
Yeah. Well, you would take care of me. You were following instructions when I said 2,000. That would be taken care of.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to take care of you.
Okay.
That's my job, is to make sure that you're happy. May I ask why you only want 2,000 out of this?
This watch was bought by my ex-boyfriend and I. Okay. He put down 5. I put down 2. I just want what's mine.
Oh, so you don't want any of the extra money?
No, I don't want.
What the fuck am I watching? Where do you find this shit?
Money. I don't want his money.
All right.
Do you understand? I don't
yeah.
think. I feel like you're not understanding.
Well, I mean, I would take the money.
You seem a little confused by it.
Yeah, I've just never had.
You can look
Oh, I wonder why they broke up.
at it. Yeah, look at it closely.
I've never had anybody ask for like less than the value.
Well, first day for everything.
Usually people want more than it's worth, so that's why I was asking. You know.
Can you stop looking at my chest with that?
Ma'am, I'm not doing
Can you?
that.
I feel like you're looking right at my chest with that thing. Can you just stop?
I understand that. So if you look through this, you can't see things.
I don't need to. That's a pervert's artifact. I don't need to look at that. Can you just take a pause? You're making me a little
all I'm
comfortable.
doing, yes, okay. I'll stop. I'll stop.
Do you want to kiss me or something? Like, I'm noticing like a weird vibe right now, and I just told you I broke up with someone in a really vulnerable place, and I feel like you're not honoring that.
I understand.
Comment says, is your store located next to an insane asylum?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. And I would love to pay you more, but you don't want to hear that. I was just checking the serial number.
Can you just say what you said first?
Okay. Do you have your ID on you?
You said you're sorry, right? Can you just say that one more time?
I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm very sorry. Okay, and do you have your ID on you?
I do.
Okay, can I get that and I can close you out for 2,000?
Thank you for just finally cooperating with me.
No problem. 2,000 cash? All right, ma'am, there's your...
You listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you're a little intimidated by me because I'm way taller than you, and you seem a little intimidated. You carry a lot of bad energy, and I can feel it emitting from you. But I just need you to understand, my boyfriend paid $5,000 to wear this, okay?
Okay.
I paid $2,000. Are you keeping up with the math?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, clock guy? Okay, so he paid... Fine, I paid too. I don't want anything of his $5,000. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That it's worth nothing to me. It's bad energy, bad juju. It makes me ugly. Raises my
Why don't you take the $5,000, give it to charity, and recreate good juju out of the bad juju?
cortisol levels makes me ugly, asymmetrical. I want to be pretty. I want to be hot.
I totally understand.
That's what's important to you.
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yes.
Say it back to me.
It makes a lot of sense.
Say I'm hot.
You are hot.
Okay.
Yes.
It feels like improv.
Yeah.
It feels like improv. It's clearly staged because, like, why is there a camera there?
I was just like hoping that it wasn't.
Yeah. Plus, the name of the shop is behind them, like in big letters right there. Okay. All right. Cue to the day, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. This one is from, it looks like it's Cleric, but with different letters. Another submission for Cue to the day. Miss Wonton on the couch.
Aww.
And Noodle and Chippy being snuggle buddies. Chloe,
She's kind of shaped like a wonton.
yes, she is very much shaped like a
perfect.
wonton. But that is what Chloe looks like when she's napping.
Like this.
Yes.
Very cute.
Aw, and
Well,
that
they're
just
like
looks like-
yin and yang.
This is the Firefox logo.
Oh, yeah, I
Basically.
see it.
All
I
right.
see it.
All right. Now that cringe is over with, my goodness, let's move on. Let's talk about Rebel Wilson. This is a weird one, guys.
Yeah, guys, this story is insane and incredibly convoluted. So bear with me as I try to relay the information. A leaked audio appears to implicate Rebel Wilson in a highly calculated Me Too smear campaign. And all of this, for context, is surrounding the impending release of Rebel Wilson's directorial debut, which is a movie called The Deb. This is the first movie she's directed, and it has yet to come out. Even though it was supposed to come out multiple times, it's been delayed because of legal disputes between Rebel Wilson and the film's producers, one of them being Amanda Ghost.
Let me
and
actually-
that is the producer that she was allegedly trying to frame for trafficking.
Yes. Let me read
is
you just
incredibly serious.
the first two paragraphs of the legal dispute as it's described on Wikipedia. It says, in July of 2024, Wilson accused some of the film's producers of blocking the film's debut at the Toronto Film Festival, further accusing them, especially Amanda Ghost. They said specially, which I feel like Wikipedia should ban. Especially
Yeah.
Amanda Ghost, Gregory Cameron, and Vince Holden of bad behavior, including inappropriate behavior towards the lead actress of the film. That's not Rebel Wilson, by the way. It's somebody else. And embezzling funds from the film's budget, along with, quote, absolute viciousness and retaliatory behavior. These claims were denied by the producers in question. During the ensuing defamation court filings and proceedings, the producers claimed that Wilson had lied in an attempt to secure the film's release at TIFF after they were concerned around releasing the film during Wilson's ongoing attempts to secure a writing credit. By the way, Chrissy Mayer did like a full dance during the crisis parties. It was very good. It says basically she was looking that it says that Wilson was looking to secure a writing credit and was unable to. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so before I get into more of the details, I want to offer my first impression of the story. Because everybody is saying this is a story about Me Too. Okay. And it is, on the surface, a story about Me Too and a Me Too smear campaign. However, I think it goes deeper than that because allegedly one of the people implicated in this plot to smear this producer, Amanda Ghost, is Brian Friedman, who happens to be Justin Baldoni's lawyer.
Correct. We have a 20. We have a 20 quick from No says, my first 20, so that's cool for my favorite soft show. I listen to non-political and chill. Brett, you're cool. Mary, you're much hotter than Sydney Sweeney. Origin Ortega to people with taste and course correct, all that. And then a rose emoji.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you. I'm not sure I understand that.
And of course correct and all that. That's it. But it was, there was no commas in there. But thank you, No. We appreciate it. Continue.
So I just want to be clear that Brian Friedman, who is often framed as this warrior for a falsely accused man in Hollywood, Justin Baldoni, is allegedly one of the people framing a different person for a Me Too allegation.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that none of this is really about ethics or morals. It's just about whoever is willing to pay you and, you know, the interest of your client. So behind closed doors, Rebel Wilson's crisis PR team discussed plans to create anonymous websites that accuse producer of The Deb of sex trafficking as part of an alleged smear campaign solicited by Rebel Wilson. In a recording obtained by The Hollywood Reporter, digital fixer Jed Wallace instructed top entertainment publicist Melissa Nathan, who, by the way, worked for Justin Baldoni, and Blake Lively alleged that Melissa Nathan was the author of the smear campaign against her. So Jed Wallace instructed Melissa Nathan to assert without evidence that the producer, Amanda Ghost, is a madame whose work involves procuring young women for wealthy and powerful men. So let's play this audio clip.
Yep, I'm going to play here from TMZ really quick. Here we go.
Oh, also, talked about Rebel. Like, here's the deal with Rebel, and I think you, me, and Brian, and maybe Katie, since she'll write this thing. What we have to do is the biggest piece here is that we have to connect Amanda Ghost with Vlotnik. And I was just like, so basically what we need to do is we need to create a path where we expose Amanda Ghost as like the new Heidi Fleiss. Like she masquerades as the reason why she sucks so bad at music.
Remember,
is because
he used the phrase, we need to create a path, which means we need to make something up.
Right.
Actually getting hookers for Vlotnik, right? And that's what she does. She's an absolute madam, and that's why she's so lethal, blah, blah, blah. But he's right. Like, we can't just do like, oh, she's a bitch, she sucks. It's like, it's gotta be really, really heavy and connected to something that heavy. So.
Okay.
So, for context, Amanda Ghost is mostly known as a musician and music executive, but she is also the chairwoman of AI Films, which does not stand for artificial intelligence. It stands for Access Industries, which is the holding company owned by this Russian media mogul, Blavatnik. Who they reference in the reporting.
Somebody asked a very good question in the chat. They said, why does it sound like he's mic'd up? That was curious at first, but it's because they were using this. They had to like pass these bits of information on to other employees. And so it was being passed around as copy in the office from what I was reading.
It was being recorded on purpose.
Yes, correct.
To instruct Melissa Nathan and her employee, Katie Case, for this PR strategy.
Yep.
So at one point in the conversation, Jed Wallace references the involvement of Hollywood lawyer Brian Friedman, who was at that point Rebel Wilson's lawyer in the plan. The discovery of communications implicating Jed Wallace, Melissa Nathan, and Brian Friedman can be traced back to the It Ends With Us legal saga, in which Brian Friedman plays a central role, and a breach of contract lawsuit from ex-Justin Baldoni publicist Stephanie Jones against Justin Baldoni and his production company Wayfarer. So this reached discovery because of a totally unrelated lawsuit regarding It Ends With Us. The recording bolsters the appearance that Melissa Nathan's The Agency Group, the top PR shop in the entertainment industry with clients including Drake, Johnny Depp, has frequently worked with Brian Friedman, deployed websites featuring character assassinating claims about Amanda Ghost. The conversation was originally recorded in order to relay instructions from Jed Wallace to former The Agency Group Vice President Katie Case, who was not on the call. She was told to review a document detailing accusations that the site ultimately alleged against Amanda Ghost. Camp Sugar, Rebel Wilson's production company, is named as an author of that document, according to court filings. And this is where things get really interesting, because Camille Vasquez, who once was defending Johnny Depp in 2022, is now defending Amanda Ghost against these false allegations by Rebel Wilson's camp. She says Rebel Wilson has repeatedly denied any involvement in the creation of smear websites, not just on television, but in her sworn legal testimony. We, however, have long suspected that she not only contributed to the malicious sites, but that she was the driving force behind them. The evidence we have submitted to the court in California supports that conclusion. Rebel Wilson, Brian Friedman, Melissa Nathan, and Jed Wallace declined to comment. And Brian Friedman has previously said that neither he nor Melissa Nathan and Jed Wallace were involved in the sites. So Brian Friedman is kind of attempting to throw Rebel Wilson under the bus completely without taking any accountability for his involvement. According to court filings, in an August 2024 text exchange naming Brian Friedman and Jed Wallace, Melissa Nathan discusses plans with Katie Case, her employee, to implement a digital campaign targeting Amanda Ghost, who was then engaged in a legal battle with Rebel Wilson over the Deb. So Melissa Nathan says to Katie Case, basically Rebel wants one of those sites. It can be really, really harsh, and then link it to the Jed's voice thing. So she's referencing Jed Wallace's voice note in this text message to her employee, Katie. And later she messages Katie, Jed and Brian asking me for copy, LOL, kill me. And she's saying Jed Wallace and Brian Friedman are asking for the actual text that is supposed to make these egregious allegations against Amanda Ghost on an anonymous website. That copy, which was allegedly drafted by Rebel Wilson's production company, Camp Sugar, was revised to conform with Jed Wallace's instructions, according to Katie Case, who worked for Melissa Nathan. In the recording, the digital strategist, they are referring to Jed Wallace, tells Melissa Nathan to claim that Amanda Ghost provides billionaire Len Blavatnik, owner of Amanda Ghost's production company AI Film, with sex workers. And by the way, Amanda Ghost is the chairwoman of this film company that is owned by Len Blavatnik, who also is the majority owner of Warner Music Group. And that's because Amanda Ghost is mostly known for being a music executive. So Jed Wallace says, what we need to do is create a path where we expose Amanda Ghost is as the new Heidi Fleiss, who is in real life actually a madam, or was at least in the 90s, a madam of a actual prostitution ring. So that's what he said in the voice note to all of these people named who deny being involved in it and want you to believe that only Rebel Wilson was. And the now deleted site titled Amanda Ghost is a Destroyer of Worlds represents itself as being written by a whistleblower. It stated, in part, failing in music, she turned full pimp, reinventing herself as a theatrical producer alongside her husband, while really procuring young women for the pleasure of the extremely wealthy. A comparison of the document that Camp Sugar sent to the agency group shows identical language, including a phrase that refers to Amanda Ghost as the Indian Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh boy.
And an allegation that she is notorious for withholding artists' work from release. In a deposition, Katie Case said that she made cosmetic changes to the copy that was drafted by Rebel Wilson and included the specific language that had been requested by Jed Wallace in the voice note and by Melissa via text. She wasn't presented with evidence corroborating the claims and wasn't aware of anyone at the firm who researched the accusations. She said, I knew very little about her from cursory searches when we had first taken Rebel on. So Katie Case is saying Rebel Wilson was this new client of ours, her adversary, Amanda Ghost. We only looked into her with a few Google searches. We had zero evidence that this woman was involved in sex trafficking anybody.
Yeah.
There were just articles about her being a bit of an insidious figure in the music industry, but I didn't know much past what I could find available online. And at one point, Rebel Wilson demanded her PR team distribute adversarial coverage of Amanda Ghost. And as the feud worsened, according to a court filing citing a message from the actress, "You were supposed to get the negative information about Ghost and have failed to do that." Katie Case said in her deposition that she wasn't taken aback by Rebel Wilson's instructions, explaining that's the way these things work, and it can be somewhat of a tit-for-tat situation, depending on the client. She's just being so casual about the idea of destroying someone's life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when people get mad at you because you say mean things to other people on the internet with an opinion, just remember that this type of duplicitous person is not just... They don't just exist. They are the commonplace. They are the norm in this industry. You should take every single story. This is why you should take the Timothée Chalamet story with a grain of salt and wonder if it all feels a little bit too orchestrated.
Yeah, everything's fake and gay.
Yep.
So this was allegedly Rebel Wilson's way of fighting back against a lawsuit that was launched against her by the producers of The Deb in 2024 for defamation, and that was after she accused them of sexual harassment and embezzlement. A countersuit from Rebel Wilson, multiple public statements from the lead actress of The Deb denying claims she was harassed, and a lawsuit from the film's production company alleging that Rebel Wilson blocked a distribution deal followed. And by the way, it still doesn't have a distribution deal in the US. It's only set for release in Australia in April, as of when we're recording this right now. And then an inflection point came last year when Discovery in the It Ends With Us legal battle unearthed communications laying the groundwork for a new defamation claim against Rebel Wilson over the alleged smear sites. The agency group has been an ongoing business partner of Brian Friedman and his law firm. So this is where you kind of have to put your thinking cap on here, because Brian Friedman frames himself as this Me Too warrior Hollywood lawyer who is trying to protect the reputation of a falsely accused man in Justin Baldoni.
Yeah.
But at the same time, allegedly was working to falsely accuse someone else because one of his clients needed her adversary to be tarnished in the media.
None of these people pick
He's
sides.
not against Me Too. He's only against Me Too when his client is being Me Too.
These people, they don't pick sides. They don't have an allegiance. They're like a tornado. They'll just destroy whatever's in their path.
Yeah, and as Brian Friedman said it, he said, if you F with my client, you get what you get.
There's a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie says, was hoping that the LA social media smear black PR business was dying down. It's not. A smart marketing friend was offered a ton to create one of these campaigns. Said I would rather do a job involving the phrase drive-through, please.
The only person in this story who appears to be morally consistent actually is Camille Vasquez, who defended Johnny Depp and is now defending Amanda Ghost.
Yep.
At least from the information that we currently have. Maybe she's just as duplicitous as the rest of them.
I wonder if she'll run for office one day.
For what kind of office?
I don't
What
know.
do you mean?
Mayor? Like city council? Who knows? She seems like getting the press that she got off of the Johnny Depp case could absolutely raise her public profile.
Mm-hmm. So they then reference this report that The Hollywood Reporter published last month. And they go into an explanation from Camille Vasquez saying that any litigator's involvement in commissioning these smear sites would constitute a profound abuse of power and a betrayal of the lawyer's role in the justice system. She added, secretly engineering false or misleading narratives to intimidate, discredit, or pressure an opponent crosses the line from zealous advocacy into misconduct. When a professionally orchestrated smear campaign is weaponized in litigation, it distorts the legal process itself by polluting the fact-finding mission, influencing witnesses and the public, and attempting to win through reputational harm rather than evidence and law. Which, again, is exactly what Brian Friedman has accused Blake Lively's team of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he himself appears to be guilty of the exact same thing. Now, Jed Wallace had at one point been what they describe as an under-the-radar Hollywood operator with a scant online footprint. He lives outside of Austin, Texas, and has been compared to the shadowy entertainment industry problem solver of Showtime's Ray Donovan.
I love that
Friedman, Brian Friedman, his longtime associate, has previously lauded Jed Wallace's resourcefulness. And Blake Lively's legal team has described Jed Wallace's work as specializing in high-profile and high-net-worth clients for whom he executes confidential and untraceable campaigns across social media platforms to shape public perception of his clients and their adversaries, and to perpetuate those perceptions by creating social media accounts with inauthentic users. Jed Wallace has denied this, and his own attorney instead characterizes his business as being a crisis mitigation firm engaged by clients to help navigate real-life human crisis, threats, trauma, and mental health concerns. It helps primarily families and individuals when they find themselves unjustly attacked, extorted, doxxed, swatted, scammed, or need help navigating through the most frightening situations. And
It's a very
still we have
pretty picture
no...
they just painted.
Yeah, we have no comment from any of the people who were clearly involved about the context behind this voice note. They're all hoping that Rebel Wilson, because she's the most famous name among them, takes the brunt of the blame. But in reality, like, they were all being paid by Rebel Wilson to smear this woman baselessly as a human trafficker. And honestly, I hope they all end up in jail. But what people are missing, as I said before about this story, is that it's not just false Me Too allegations exposed. It's false, you know, I think that it's showing that the people who want to be seen as truth warriors are actually just glorified prostitutes, because they will just, it's not about right or wrong. It's not about truth or falsehood for them. It's all about the personal benefit of them and their clients. Even if they know full well that their client is in the wrong and that their client is hiring them to publish falsehoods, that's, as Brian Friedman put it, that, I mean, if you F with my client, you get what you get. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. He's not a warrior for people who are falsely accused.
No, he's a warrior for whoever pays him. He's a hired gun. And
it is looking dire for Justin Baldoni if this is his lawyer.
The thing about this is as egregious as an example of this is, of like the attempted smearing, you want a lawyer who will do whatever it takes, hopefully legally within the bounds of the law, to defend you. Like, that's one of the reasons why, you know, some people hold a specific type of romanticism for the American justice system, which is, you know, you can't even beat the federal government at its own game. They win like 99.9% of the time because they never take cases that they know that they're not going to win. But you want to be able to pay for the best legal defense you can. And me and you have even joked about, like, you know, there's something nice about the lawyer who still gets to talk shit on the stand because it's being done in defense of a client. And they're kind of that last bastion of the last line of defense for a person. And all of these people are in the mud, 110%. But you know, if somebody's going to come out and smear you with allegations that you're a trafficker, you're going to need somebody who's willing to get in the mud to fight back for you. It's just that because they're all loose cannons that will fight for whoever will pay them, there isn't a moral center to any of it.
I want to also mention that according to this February report from The Hollywood Reporter, Brian Friedman has also, Jed Wallace has also been involved in other smear campaigns. They say in February, The Hollywood Reporter revealed how the slanderous websites at the center of the Amanda Ghost Rebel Wilson dispute appear to be part of a broader online smear machine, which connects to many other recent headline-making sagas. Digital forensics filed last fall in court for Stephanie Jones, another alleged victim, first linked Jed Wallace to the wider pattern. Her attorneys contend it's apparent that Melissa Nathan and Jed Wallace have run a clandestine cottage industry of creating false smear websites and social media accounts targeting their adversaries and those of their clients, doing so often in connection with litigation. They termed this a playbook. Brian Friedman has previously objected to Stephanie Jones's data, terming it speculation presented as fact. He wasn't identified in Stephanie Jones's forensics as a culprit, nor named in her suit as a defendant. Yet the subject of another smear site, the actress turned activist Alexa Nicholas, sued Brian Friedman as well as Melissa Nathan for defamation on February 5th. She contended the attorney was an integral part of a team working to control unfavorable narratives against her. And by the way, in case you forgot, Alexa Nicholas is a former Nickelodeon child star who participated in the Quiet on Set docuseries a couple of years back. She was on Zoe 101, and she was talking about the inappropriate work environment that she was a part of when she was at Nickelodeon. Okay. And now she's claiming that Brian Friedman is one of the people smearing her online in this other lawsuit.
Yeah.
So literally nobody comes out of this looking good.
It's a mess. It's a mess. All right. Let's first of all, we've got a gifted membership from Crouching Tiger Hidden. I can't read the rest of the username, but Crouching Tiger Hidden, whatever it is, just gifted a membership. Thank you so much. Also, remember, guys, if we get 20 gifted memberships in a show, that is equal to a crisis party. So just food for thought if you're looking to gift memberships. And remember, I did put out another episode of PCC bonus content this week. The episode I did with Stephanie from Geeks and Gamers went up, I believe it went up on Wednesday, so you guys can go watch that over the weekend. And I'm still working out what the next one of those will be, but I'm hoping to do more soon. So let's continue.
Okay. So you might have the perception that this channel specializes in ragging on Gen Z, and that wouldn't be totally inaccurate. We do rag on Gen Z quite a lot, and I do feel I have special permission to do so as a Zoomer myself. But we have some positive news about Gen Z to share with you today. And it's that Gen Z, contrary to popular belief, has the attention span to watch movies in theaters. And they're becoming a growing demographic of theater goers compared to older generations. Now, The Hollywood Reporter is kind of overstating it, saying, can Gen Z save Hollywood? Because that's a huge task. But they say Gen Zers are becoming a larger share of the total movie-going crowd. And then, you know, I just want to say this reply to their tweet pissed me off. It said, young people go to the movies, shocker. You really are a useless publication. It's not a given that Gen Z goes to the movie theaters. That's actually not something that just goes without saying. I would have assumed the opposite. And it's because the stereotype about Gen Z is that they are so attached to their phones and their social media algorithms that they have no incentive to leave the house and engage with long-form media, especially in a social environment where they're surrounded by other people. But it appears that this is increasingly important to Gen Z as they get older, and it's a way that they can, you know, make a night out without doing things they don't like doing, for instance, drinking and clubbing.
Which is weird because so many of the movie theaters now have alcohol to serve at them because they can't get by on just popcorn anymore. Right.
They love PG movies. They buy tickets with their whole family and post their reviews on social media. Now they're the primary customers at movie theaters. Few could have predicted Disney's Zootopia 2 would become the top grossing 2025 film ahead of Avatar: Fire and Ash, collecting $1.86 billion in worldwide sales, or that Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch would place among the 3 movies to cross $1 billion. This year brought more surprises. Iron Lung a tiny movie self-released by YouTube star Markiplier that stunned with $40 million.
Let's stop that for a second there. Remember, with 38 million subscribers on his channel, so however little the movie was, most of these the A24s of the world and the smaller production companies would love to have 38 million in like baked in audience members who are willing to support.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that just because somebody has a following that's going to translate to real world ticket sales, though.
I mean, no, but it's better than hiring influencers to promote your movie without any return on investment most of the time.
He is an influencer.
No, but I'm saying like all of these other studios, they hire the influencers to come do TikTok dances at their movie premieres, and it doesn't translate to ticket sales.
Right. And then they mention Scream 7, which defied logic in opening to $64 million, a franchise best and $20 million ahead of expectations. And then there's Neon's foreign language films, A Sentimental Value and A Secret Agent, which are both competing in Oscar Best Picture race and are hovering in the $4 to $6 million range. The common denominator, Zoomers, aka Gen Z, who some had written off as anti-moviegoing since they were the first generation to bond with an iPhone or other device. Yes, social media has them craving a collective experience, resulting in a rise in theater going among those born between 1997 and 2012. Gen Z is ironically drawn to the classic analog experience of going to the movie theater. They're able to blend this traditional activity with their digital lives, using theater outings as fodder for social engagement. And one example of that is something I've seen quite often lately, where a new movie will come out that's generating discourse online, and I'll start seeing a bunch of reels of Zoomers with their friends at the theater seeing it on opening night, and they record each other's reactions with the flash on. And I saw that especially for Wuthering Heights, like a group of Zoomers would go to see Wuthering Heights together and film each other's reactions where they're like sweating bullets and crying and like being overly verklempt over the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I imagine that's incredibly annoying to witness in real life because it disrupts everybody else in the theater. But that is one example of them using their outings to the movie theater as a way to get engagement online. Gen Zers are becoming a larger share of the total movie-going crowd. In 2025, they represented 39% of the audience in North America, up from 34% in 2019. And also, this does come with them getting older and more of Gen Z having disposable income and having similar aged friends who can drive. Mm-hmm. Like, more of Gen Z can drive, more of Gen Z is employed, at least enough to pay for one movie ticket each. Yeah. So this would naturally happen. And then they mention leading theater trade organization Cinema United touted that Zoomer theater attendance grew by 25% in the past 12 months. Last year, Gen Zers ranged in age from 13 to 28, and this year they'll hold even more clout by occupying a larger share of the two most coveted age brackets in the film business, 18 to 24 and 25 to 34. And with Zoomers now occupying the 13 to 17 age bracket, PG-rated movies are back, and studios are reconsidering the hard-won knowledge that PG films repelled millennials when they were 13 to 17. So the main difference between millennial teenagers and Gen Z teenagers is that Gen Z teenagers have a more childish taste in media.
Yeah.
Or at least they feel they have less to prove about the level of vulgarity or violence that they're exposed to in media.
Yep.
Or they have a lower threshold for that than millennials did at the same age. Gen Zers don't feel the way that millennials did, helping to explain why 4 of last year's top movies were all PG. That's Zootopia 2, the Lilo and Stitch live action, a Minecraft movie, and How to Train Your Dragon. Ticket purchases are pre-planned. That, of course, would not have been the same situation for millennial teenagers.
No. You
go online and buy their movie tickets, or at least it was much more difficult to do so.
Somebody asked the other day, they said, how did people book flights before the internet?
Right. No, I didn't know that. And then my parents told me, like, well, you went to a travel agent. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Those still exist too, supposedly. I mean, I think most of them are spies, but
Yeah. 40% of Gen Z say they bought tickets in advance within the last week, up from 25% pre-pandemic. There's no question about it. Gen Z likes going to the movies, and they do so more often than older audiences. They trend toward IPs like video games, anime, and YouTuber brands, as well as major animated movies that they grew up on. It's critical to the industry's future that studios prioritize these 21st century brands over older IP that mainly resonates with the 35 and 45 plus crowd. Gen Zers don't want their parents' franchises. Well, that's kind of sad,
I mean,
right?
I think that might be considered true of every generation, right? Like by the time it's been popular for your parents, is that what you want to be watching at any given time?
That wasn't true for millennials. Millennials cared about Star Wars.
I mean, yes, I suppose, but maybe not. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily. It's also genre switching now. So for Gen Z, what I've been saying for a long time in this channel is that the superhero craze is dead because video games is what will end up usurping it once they figure out the formula. And I think that they have, for the most part, discovered that they have too much creative hubris to just make a movie the way it should be made, meaning to adapt it, faithfully while making the necessary changes to bring it to the big screen, whether it's truncating the timetable, finding what needs to be removed without destroying the spirit of the project. The best thing they can do is to make stuff with minimal lore, lots of brand recognition, or at the very least, minimal cohesive stories. So I loved the Twisted Metal TV series, but I was like, is there lore to Twisted Metal? I played the game on PlayStation 1 back in the day. Mario has got lots of lore and character stuff behind it, but it's endearing to millennials and Gen Z alike.
Yeah, they emphasize the nostalgia factor here, but I imagine that studio executives, when they think of nostalgia because of their age demographic, it's not channeling the same IPs that are nostalgic for people in the teen and 20s demographics.
Also, Star Wars and Star Trek were like, Star Wars wasn't just the movies. There was also tons of expanded universe, video games, comics that was part of their generation. It carried right through. So actually the rebirth of Star Wars under the expanded universe was more of a millennial thing than it was their parents, because their parents didn't have that stuff necessarily. They had the original movies.
But it was still a franchise that was beloved by their parents' generation.
Yes.
That saw a revival in their generation.
Correct.
They emphasize that Zillennials really drove the success of the live-action Aladdin movie, and they say this millennial Gen Z combo was even stronger than expected, providing invaluable insight into the nostalgia factor at play, as both demos got a chance to see an updated version of the 1992 animated film that they grew up with. And by the time Zootopia 2 came along, Gen Zers were even more important, with the pick becoming the highest grossing animated film of all time. It's done great with families, but also done really well with people who don't have kids and general audiences all over the world. And then they mention some more, I guess, art house coded movies, including Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet, which made a worldwide box office of $274 million, which is insane for an A24 movie. And the majority of the moviegoers for Marty Supreme were below the age of 35. And then they get into the prevalence of Letterboxd. And it's still a relatively small platform. It has, I think they said 27 million active users, but it grew by 9 million users over the past year alone.
You can tell it's growing to be popular because it's become a meme. Where once it's mimetic and people make fun of the fact that you have a letterbox, that's how you know it's become popular.
My familiarity with it is through screenshots of Letterboxd reviews that get shared on other platforms.
Remember when it came out, like somebody shared Iman Vellani's Letterboxd account?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's sort of a way to prove your bona fides as a film buff without taking it too seriously. And my personal theory about the popularity of Letterboxd is that we all have like really bad memory and we need some way to keep track of what we've watched throughout the years and how our taste has evolved in the same time period. That's why I would be incentivized to make an account, but I still have yet to join Letterboxd. The CEO said, "We know that distributors are looking at what's happening on Letterboxd to gauge how their films are resonating." And that includes celebrities joining the platform as well, like Charlie XCX. They mentioned she uses the platform how she wants to, which is what we encourage for everyone. The community's embrace of her movie, The Moment, may have something to do with that. And A24 rival Neon, run by Tom Quinn, also pays attention to Letterboxd. But far more important to Neon is reaching an audience by platforming the title slowly in theaters, such as the outfit did with Sentimental Value or The Secret Agent. The head of distribution notes that Gen Zers are turning out to watch their Oscar nominees. That helps lift all boats. The combined market share of specialty distributors, Neon, A24, Focus Features, and Searchlight, was 7% of the domestic box office in 2025, compared with 4% the year before. Or take Hollywood's most reliable genre, the mainstream horror pick. Paramount's Scream 7 benefited by relocating to a weekend where it could play in IMAX, where spectacle was the draw. The movie centers on Neve Campbell's character as the mother of an older teenager, played by Isabel May. And they mention a trend among Gen Z that is international, not just observable in the North America demographic. They say it's not confined to the US. What we're seeing right now, and certainly it backs up all of the market analysis that has been done across Europe and North America, it's that young people have returned. Gen Z is slowly growing to be a safe bet. For years, Gen Z was seen by many film professionals as the streaming and short form content generation, but cinemas are regaining audiences, in particular young people, not only through targeted screenings, but also specific film events. For Gen Z, movie-going is increasingly becoming a new kind of night out, and that's as they are less interested in drinking and clubbing. They're less likely than previous generations to attend a movie with a significant other because they are dating less. They're more likely to attend a movie with their family, actually. And well, I don't see that as a particularly hopeful trend. It's
Because they should be
better
out with
for the
friends.
interest of the box office.
Why? Because they should be out with friends doing it?
It would be better to know that young adults are out with friends and people that they're dating than their parents and siblings. Yeah. And they say, while main proponents are financial limitations, safety, and health concerns that explain Gen Z's move away from drinking, it's certainly not for lack of interest. They say this whole false economy around young people don't go out because alcohol isn't available or not in their interest. It doesn't stop them from socializing.
Plus
the social and cultural economy is still really important to them. And while there is an element of social anxiety after so many kids grew up in lockdown, that urge to connect and feel immersed in an experience is stronger than ever. For young viewers, the cinema experience is an affordable collective night out. I don't know why you would call it affordable, because it's not affordable. However, it's probably more affordable for a single young adult to go to a movie with a group of other young adults paying for themselves than for a family to go see a movie together.
Yeah. As an experience where everybody buys their own ticket.
And it's definitely more affordable than a night out drinking with friends where everyone's paying for themselves. Because we're talking about a $20 movie ticket versus, I don't know, if you buy a few drinks, that's probably like 3 times the cost.
Depends on where you're going too. Like if you're living in the city and stuff like that, that's obviously going to cost way more.
Yeah. They return to cinemas when seeing that a specific film is not only an event, but also means participating in a wider cultural conversation. And they say FOMO could be another major catalyst in younger people's mass return to theaters. There is a feeling of fandom, being involved in film culture, and not wanting to miss the conversation. They mentioned Barbenheimer as a way to make cinema into an event and the enjoyment of the film outside of franchises like Marvel and Star Wars. It brought people together that may not ordinarily want to come together because they didn't want to miss out on the moment. Yeah. The generation that grew up dialed into culture can't handle not understanding what the internet is obsessed with. So when they're seeing discourse about a certain film on social media, their way of feeling like they're still included in the cultural zeitgeist is they have to invest in going to see this 2-hour-long movie.
Otherwise, they won't know where the memes are coming from.
Right. They say social media is inescapable and the conversation is inescapable. People want to see films early so that they can lead the conversation, and are being so easily spooked by spoilers only adds to the urgency of getting to the theater first. And they mention Wuthering Heights and all of the discourse online about that adaptation. Mm-hmm. It said it had a host of both 0 and 5-star ratings, and they noticed an uptick in young fans sporting Get Wet merch and making Jacob Elordi fan cams around the time that Wuthering Heights dominated their feeds. Just last month, a 25-year-old ex-user went viral after telling people that she had been hired by HBO to cut trailers and promo videos. This is something that we've covered on the channel before. Yep. I think that was because Lionsgate hired a whole host of Gen Z video editors to make TikTok content about movies that have come out, like, in some cases, decades ago. She got their attention after making a heated rivalry fan cam that accrued 4.4 million views. Damn. And they say, I don't think Gen Z just watches movies anymore. They live and breathe them. Now, I think still this is overstating the importance of Gen Z coming back to the theaters, because in a way this was inevitable as they got older. Like, of course, they're going to have more disposable income and more self-determination. We're literally living through more and more of Gen Z getting a driver's license. So why would we be surprised that there are growing numbers of Gen Z going to the movie theater? Yep. Like,
it's about time.
That's naturally going to happen. But they're late bloomers, I guess, is the point. And I think, as performative as it may be, they do actually care about at least the perception of being culturally astute and being able to hold a conversation about a piece of media that takes an investment of time.
Yeah, otherwise they're going to get hit with the media literacy claims, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be called media illiterate.
So they're, like, slightly pretentious about it. Yeah. But at least it's keeping cinema alive for the time being.
Well, movies like Marty Supreme don't get made unless somebody's willing to be pretentious about something. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. We've got more to get into. Nicole Kidman.
So Nicole Kidman is technically doing a press run for this new show that she's doing right now, but she's not talking about the new show. I'm just seeing a bunch of wildly unhinged quotes from Nicole Kidman all over my timeline that have nothing to do with the show. And it really convinced me that she should have stayed with Tom Cruise. They really match each other's freak. And it makes no sense to me why it was such a problem in their relationship that she wasn't willing to join the Church of Scientology, because she seems like the perfect fit for Scientology. Let's just take a look at this clip of her on the Las Culturistas podcast, where she is absolutely out of her mind on something. Maybe it's just being high on being Nicole Kidman.
Let's listen.
I have my Looney Tunes characters on today.
Yes. We love Looney Tunes.
We love Looney Tunes.
Yes, there's Coyote.
Yeah, there he is.
Yes.
Now, don't you do...
Tweety Bird.
Don't you do Little Quacka?
There's Tweety.
Tweety. Yeah. All of them.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I knew to whip this out at the right moment. Yeah.
Something is happening.
Yeah.
Well, you are in a thrall right now about Rihanna, Tweety Bird, smells in general.
The legendary ladies of our time.
I'm sensory.
Okay, I'm so happy I remembered to.
Did you say I'm sensory? Oh my god. Okay.
So she seems a little Looney Tunes herself.
Tweety bird.
One of the comments said, "I need the brand of edibles she took stat."
Yep.
I love whatever is wrong with her. Maybe she's crashing out a little bit post-divorce, but something is going on. I'm not sure what. She, on the same interview, called out an actor without naming them for eating falafel before a love scene. She said, "I cannot stand bad breath. If I say breathe on me and I have to recoil, yikes." And she still, doesn't seem willing to name who it is.
Have bad.
Unless we're supposed to assume that it's Alex Skarsgård.
I thought that's what it was. I thought maybe did one of these crisis management firms come out and say that about him just to smear his name?
Yeah, I don't know. And then in the same interview, she said that she has an incredibly strong sense of smell, so maybe she's the problem. When I lost my sense of smell during COVID, I was relieved. Finally, I was free. So she's just sniffing people left and right.
She's also, just like Timothée Chalamet, she is now ripe for being fake quoted.
These all seem like fake quotes, but they're real.
Like
That's the thing.
One of the tweets said, like, everything Nicole Kidman says makes me think she used to be a spy.
Later she said, well, that's this quote. Later she said she has the pain tolerance of a Navy SEAL. They go, "Do you want anesthesia?" I say, "No."
She's just above it.
This is what convinced us that she should have ended up with Tom Cruise. Yeah. Her ending up with Keith Urban makes zero sense to me. But then I saw this other quote from her earlier this week about her using a prosthetic nose to portray Virginia Woolf, and the idea that she only won the Oscar for being a beautiful woman who made herself less so for her art. And this is her commitment to her craft.
She's like, "I love acting so much that I'm willing to be ugly instead of what I am."
I can't even do this in the Australian accent, but whatever. People are always going to say whatever. The performance was there. They all agreed they wanted Virginia to have a different profile than mine. My profile is distinct and it needed to be different. I have a very particular nose. I like when I'm able to change up my appearance as someone trained to be a character actor. Some people are employed to look and be themselves. I've been trained as a character actor. So when I'm working, I'm not here to be Nicole. On a talk show I am, but not in a film or play or show. If that means changing my physical appearance, of course. You have to walk differently, breathe differently, talk differently. The timbre of your voice has to change. All of the internal mechanisms affect the external.
I do want to point out that I remember not that long ago, I forget who the actress was that was making fun of men. Oh, it was Kristen Stewart saying, like, only men are method actors because acting is inherently silly and women are better at just embracing the silly than men are. They have to attach some sort of professional meaning to what they're doing. She falls into that category too. I'm kind of here for it. She's just as pretentious as her male counterparts.
I think Kristen Stewart was trying to say that there's more of an ego among male actors than actresses, and they find it hard to get past their ego in the physical presence of a film crew watching you perform. Mm-hmm. So they have to pretend that acting is a magic show where they pull a rabbit out of a hat, and actresses, in her perspective, don't have as much of an ego obstacle annihilating their own identity for a role.
That's just like
Nicole Kidman appears to be touting the same skill. It does appear that Bradley Cooper really didn't deserve all of that shit that he got for wearing a prosthetic nose, though.
Yep.
When Nicole Kidman didn't have to deal with that nearly as much. However, Nicole Kidman, I think, is part of an older generation of actors that found that an easier trade-off to make. And these days, I think that actors don't want to be character actors. They do want to play themselves. And they're not willing to undergo changes or, make themselves look unflattering for a role. And I do think there's more of an ego problem among younger actors, regardless of gender. And one example of that came to mind was in the casting process for Spring Breakers. So this was the final lineup that they came up with. And this is from one of the final promotional shots for the movie. But there is a photo from the test for the screen test that they took in 2012 that had Emma Roberts in the lineup. And she did not end up in the final cast. And the reason for that, allegedly, is that Emma Roberts was told she would have to gain weight for the role.
Is that her? Is she the third one there? She looks like freaking Eugenia Cooney there.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely doesn't look like the average college girl.
Her legs are
tiny. And that's
tiny.
what she was supposed to play in the movie. And she was not willing to undergo just a slight amount of weight gain to play this role.
Yeah.
She actually dropped out for this reason. One of the posts about this said, Emma Roberts refused to be in Spring Breakers because they asked her to gain weight. She really said skinny rights. And she ended up getting replaced for that.
There's 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, we need to bring back drive-ins. My hometown has one called Big Sky with 3 screens showing new releases as double features for $10 a ticket. One screen is family films, one is PG-13 blockbusters, and one is R-rated movies.
Well, those definitely had a revival during the lockdown period. I went to a drive-in in like the spring of 2020, but I never went back since. It wasn't my thing. But yeah, the director of Spring Breakers, Harmony Korine, allegedly encouraged the cast of girls to eat a bunch of fast food in McDonald's so that they would, look like normal, average college girls in the movie.
Yeah.
And Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez were willing to do that. They said that they ate McDonald's together to prepare for their role.
Wait, it wasn't because of lupus?
Right. No, it wasn't lupus at the time. But Emma Roberts, on the other hand, was unwilling to do that and dropped out due to creative differences.
Creative differences meaning that she doesn't want to become a fat hoe.
Yeah, that's not a creative difference. I think that's actually showing a lack of dedication to your craft, in my opinion.
Yep.
I guess everyone has a different line that they're not willing to cross, but for her, it was that. It was just that she wasn't willing to gain 15 pounds, which is kind of outrageous. And I think younger actors are more prone to having all of these pet issues.
Yeah.
And things that they're not willing to do.
Well, when I think of character actors, I don't even think of that as a movie-specific idea. All the character actors that I can think of were on television, right? They're the ones who showed up in the sci-fi shows that you would watch. But for movies, it does feel like the average actor now is trying harder to be a Ryan Reynolds who gets to play himself in every movie than trying to disappear into a role.
Yeah. Yeah, because that means you can sell yourself as the same act in a commercial or a TikTok. And they see no greater value than being able to play yourself in everything. That's the influencer's actor.
It does feel like it would be easier for them, right? Not only is the acting easier, but the ability to make more money after the fact is also easier.
I noticed that in Kylie Jenner's performance in the Charlie XCX movie, she was just playing an exaggerated version of herself, and I did find it impressive. She definitely played an exaggerated version of herself better than Charlie XCX did in the scene that I saw. But you pointed out Well, she already does that for a living because she's a reality TV star.
Yes, it's
So
already.
of course she knows how to play an exaggerated version of herself. Like that's what she does. She's been doing that for years.
Yeah, I see. My favorite character in Scream Queens in the first 2 episodes was Ariana Grande because she dies right away, and then when she comes back, it's hilarious.
I totally forgot about her character dying. Thanks a lot for the spoiler.
It was basically it's not a spoiler. It's like in like the first 10 minutes of the show. It's basically the same thing as Drew Barrymore dying at the very beginning of Scream 1. You're like, oh my goodness, Ariana Grande. Oh, never mind.
Ariana Grande.
Yep. 07s. Yeah. So it's just, I think for the most part, Nicole Kidman probably is an actor's actor and takes her craft really seriously. Obviously, she wouldn't partner with AMC to try and save the theaters. She doesn't need the money that whatever AMC is paying her. She doesn't need that money. I'm sure she does it because she wants to keep the theaters alive. Though you could make the argument that the feminism that she's let leak into her filmmaking process about working with female directors. How important is the movie making process to you if you want to shut out 50% of the directors and you only want to work with the women?
Well, as much shit as we have given Kristen Stewart, I should also bring up now that it is commendable for her to buy that theater. I forget the name of it, but she bought a theater in LA.
Yeah, like a stage theater.
It was about to get shut down if she didn't swoop in to save the day. So I do think that that's commendable on her part.
Is Emma Roberts' dad Eric Roberts the actor? Or is it somebody else? Is that like a family member or something?
I believe that's right.
Emma,
or is that her uncle?
It's I'm looking under here. Her name is listed as maybe they're not related.
Julia Roberts' niece.
No, she is. Okay, she is Eric Roberts' daughter. And I just want to point out that maybe she's got some trauma because Eric Roberts, he's literally never home. 811 credits on IMDb. Bro would rather be anywhere but at home.
It's really difficult to follow in his footsteps, I'm sure.
Remember what we said earlier? Like, it was like, oh, how many projects does Sydney Sweeney have coming up? Oh, 7. How many projects does Zendaya have coming up? Oh, is it 6? Eric Roberts, 95 upcoming projects.
Right now?
Right now.
That's crazy.
811 credits to his name. Bro is not young. He's got to be on the older side now. Like, he's the older brother of Julia Roberts and Lisa Roberts.
Damn.
So
he's
just
gonna live a long life.
Never wants to be home. He just wants to be out acting. All right.
Good for him.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Okay. Katie said the St. Mary's Church in my city has Filipino mass. I'm not sure what that means. Never experienced it myself, but I'll be interested to hear your experience. Shayna Twelder said prayers for Alex Jones. The alcoholism is bad, and it showed last night on IRL. I feel for him.
Yeah, he was.
Going on IRL.
I
didn't know about this.
I did not know either until it got mentioned. Like Olivia was talking, it was coming up in the Discord that he looked really rough, and then he left in the middle of the show. And he looked.
I'm gonna blow my nose. Sorry.
He looked like he was having a stroke. He really did. He looked like he was having a stroke. His words got caught as he was talking. It was not good. But hopefully he is fine. You know, it's I've never really looked into his past. I know he had lost a lot of weight at one point and was getting a lot of exercise and stuff. I think he said it was allergies. Yeah, somebody in the chat, Jeremy Briggs in the chat says Benadryl and whiskey. Never do that, man. Never do Benadryl and whiskey. My goodness.
Was he having some kind of medical crisis?
Yeah, to me it looked like he was having a stroke before he left. But he was it was rough. But I hope he's okay.
This was
last night.
Okay.
I saw the clip.
I thought he was in Austin.
He is. They are in Austin.
Oh, okay. I've been barely keeping up.
Yeah, they're in Austin.
Okay. Well, yeah, prayers for Alex Jones. We love Alex Jones.
I mean, that's it's not hard to believe that you would be struggling when the government says you have to pay $1 billion.
Seems pretty freaking stressful.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't envy him. Boston said Mary hating on Sydney Sweeney is peak PPC. Okay, I don't know what PPC is. I must be on like watching some other podcast because I don't know what PPC is.
Maybe we'll make that shirt. Like, honestly, given how bad my reading is, we should make a dyslexic shirt for me that's just CPC or something.
Also, tell me where I was hating on Sydney Sweeney today.
Yeah, you weren't.
Like, when did I say anything negative about Sydney Sweeney? That's ridiculous. Shane H. Wilder said, well, since I'm going to Adoration tonight, I'll light a candle for you while I'm there and maybe throw a prayer to St. Blaise your way. Thank you very much, Shane. I do appreciate that. I'm going to be headed to Stations of the Cross after the stream.
Andy Panda in the chat says, what does Brett mix whiskey with? Dilly's? I don't know. No, I even when I was using stuff, I never mixed it with alcohol because to me that just seemed like, why would you want to do that? They're two completely different experiences. Why would you want them to come together and make for one shitty experience? Don't do drugs, kids, and definitely don't mix drugs with alcohol.
I do recommend mixing nicotine with alcohol, though. That is a strong recommend.
That's the other reason
from me.
The Gen Zs are at the movie theaters with their Zins. That's what they're doing.
I definitely have done that. I've been chain zinning in the movie theater many a time. So I recommend that as well. But I wouldn't... Drinking at the movie theater is weird to me.
Yes.
Is it just me? Like, I don't get that. I want to drink in a situation where I'm having conversations.
Yeah.
I don't want to drink when I'm trying to pay attention to something for 2 hours straight. That would completely ruin the movie-going experience for me.
The only time I ever did that was when we were... So when we went to see The Dark Knight, like in 2008... we definitely had flasks that we just, because we had a whole row, like me and my friends had a whole row in the theater and just passed flasks down by the end.
Oh my God.
The whole time. And I went back and saw it again afterwards because it had
Did you black out the movie or something?
No. But it was, I wanted to re-experience it with, sober, like to your point.
Like, a lot of these movie theaters have bars now.
Yeah.
And I get that that's a way to attract more people. But I just don't get how that's compatible with the movie-going experience. I've never been able to understand that. Robert Delara said, Sydney Sweeney is thinking, let's get this Euphoria media tour and show over with. I have bigger projects to focus on.
She's like, I've got CERN stuff to post.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that way at this point. Shane H. Wilder said Euphoria, more like Euphoria.
Am I right?
Okay, that's pretty good.
Got him.
I talked to my ballerina friend about it, and she was like, well, he's not wrong. Everyone else is just retarded. LOL, this is why I love my friends. I love that you just randomly have a ballerina friend. Like, go you.
Yeah.
Digital Badger said, Brett, someone brought it up on Quartering Live yesterday. You should have Jeremy on. Hannah Claire thinks you guys would get along great.
I just always imagine somebody like him is just too damn busy. Like, to have 2 hours to spend.
It wouldn't hurt reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Crisis parties for my sick, struggling self.
We should get Mary a third crisis party. We've got like 15 minutes to get Mary a third crisis party. As for the Quartering, I mean, that would be really cool. He was one of the first content creators that I watched in this space that wasn't, because at that time he wasn't really talking about politics a lot. He was covering a lot of stuff with Hollywood. He did also have one of the funniest tweets in a long time that I've seen recently, where he like he like challenged Dave Smith to a debate, and Dave Smith basically said like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Never mind, I withdraw." Like he he took it really, really well, which I can always appreciate.
Robert Delera said Doja Cat was just trying to have fun off of a comment that was made during a meaningless interview. That's all it was. Well, it doesn't sound like she had enough fun to stand on business.
Should have stood on business.
I don't know. No, I do applaud her for admitting that she was just virtue signaling. I've never seen someone be so candid.
You know what it is though, Mary? Now you have to hold that one in your back pocket for the day when when you finally hit something where the outrage is too much. Like you get that one time. You get one use of that.
Sort of for a while I started replying to hate comments saying please like me.
I remember that. Yeah.
And honestly, I wasn't kidding. Like, I do want people to like me. Who doesn't? Kyle Dixon, read that one earlier. Robert Delera said, Brett is onto something. A Marty Supreme 2. Marty retires from ping pong, sorry, table tennis, and becomes the best ballet opera singer in the world.
What if he takes up pickleball?
Wait, wasn't the movie based on a real person, or am I making that up?
It's based on a real person, and it's set like a long time ago. I wish I had that. Did I send you that video of the lady who makes, her name's like Lucian something, and she makes these really funny videos? She's like, I didn't like Marty Supreme. She's like, ping pong in the 50s? I don't know about that.
Boss N said, my bad typos, hotter than Jenna Ortega and Sydney Sweeney, and the correct I meant this is my favorite non-politics show to watch daily.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. What was this? MSMD74 said, hey, between Zendaya and Sydney, which has more star power, assuming Hollywood still exists in, say, 20 years, based on where they are right now?
That's an interesting question.
I think Sydney Sweeney has plans to retire from acting early and move on to producing.
Yeah.
20 years from now.
That makes sense to me. She sees herself as, she's older than, is she the same age as Zendaya? Are they around the same age? Okay. I feel like Sydney Sweeney's heart was always in the business side of the industry. And that's not necessarily, like, I can't even necessarily back that up with facts, because if that was true, like, why would she be making a bunch of art house movies that nobody wants to watch? Like, only an artist wants to make those movies, because they're certainly not making any money, if that makes sense. But if the idea here is that to be better at the business side of things, she has to also be able to appear as an actor's producer, the type of producer an actor wants to work with, maybe she picks these projects, or maybe it's just that people have a certain level of duality and it's like her weakness. She's like, look, I know I should be making Madam Web 2 Electric Boogaloo, but I'm going to go make, you know, The Housemaid because people need to see movies like, not even The Housemaid, because that's got more pulp appeal. I've got to go make movies like Christie because my agent said that that's who everyone's going to want to work with, is the person who makes the lesbian boxing movies.
She has faced a significant setback, though, because she just had to cut ties with Jonathan Davino officially, because they were both co-owners of this production company that she had.
Yeah.
So that has now been completely dissolved from last I saw. She's going to have to start a whole new production company.
She's going to be like, excuse me, Mr. Amazon CEO. Excuse me. Could you help me start a production company? And he'll just say yes.
I wonder if that starts arguments between him and Lauren Sanchez.
She's like, oh, you had a meeting then, huh?
Maybe we'll find out.
Where the hell were your eyes during this meeting, Jeff?
Shane Wilder said, okay, the Wilson ghost story is more entertaining than most things coming out of Hollywood. There are so many twists and turns. I'd watch that movie.
The Wilson?
Yeah, I would too.
The what?
Unfortunately, they're never going to, you know, accurately portray how morally bankrupt they are.
Yeah.
Robert Delera said, so no one at that PR meeting had the moral compass and said this smear campaign is not a good idea. This is more trouble than it's worth. Of course, no one wanted to get fired and be out of a job. I think it doesn't even occur to them. It's not that they are having second thoughts and they go ahead with it reluctantly. They just don't think about ethics. Like it doesn't even momentarily cross their minds.
Also, you could make the argument that the longer you exist in the industry and everyone proves himself to be just a little bit parasitic, that you don't even think about it in the terms of good and evil, right and wrong. You think of it in the terms of winning and losing.
Yeah. They think about
that's not a good thing, but they're delivering for their client, much in the same way that a lawyer's job isn't to care about the truth. A lawyer's job is to present a narrative that will get their client off of whatever charge they are being kind of hit with. So they may see themselves as lawyers in the same respect. I don't remember. Was Ray Donovan a lawyer? Was he legally a lawyer in that show? Because that was a great show. If you ever want to watch a show about a fixer, not one I rewatched, but one that when it was airing, I quite enjoyed. But that is some of Liev Schreiber's best work.
A hitman doesn't investigate whether the person who hired them is in the right. They just kill the person they were hired to kill. Red Snow said, and I said, looks around, Bretch, please. I don't know what that means.
I didn't know.
Pat the Plumber said, whenever Brett mentions Twisted Metal, I gotta shout out my buddy Mitch, who plays Stu's Sweet Tooth's sidekick. He's now friends with Sumo Joe, which rules.
Samoa Joe, but close enough. But yes, that's awesome.
It says Sumo, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the guy's, I mean, unless he's changed his wrestling name of 20 years in the last couple months. Samoa Joe.
I'm just reading the super chat the way it was sent. I can't tell you. Shane H. Wilder said, I literally just joined Letterboxd because people kept asking me what movies I've seen and what I've liked. I keep forgetting to update it. LOL. I feel like maybe today is the day that I download Letterboxd. Like I've finally caved.
Is there an app for it? Like, can I get it as like an app on my phone, or do I have to do like? Is it one of those pretentious things? You're like, actually, you have to use this with a desktop computer.
No,
I've never set up a Letterboxd. I've never set up like I don't do Rotten Tomatoes reviews. I don't do Criticless reviews. I should have a Letterboxd. But let's face it, mine wouldn't be about stuff that actually they want to read about. Mine would be about boomer procedural television, and who's going to read about that?
I'm checking if there's an app. Yeah, there's an app. I'm going to download it.
There you go.
F it. Fine. Shane H. Wilder said we need to bring back... Oh, I think you read that one earlier. Corey Anderson said Mary is giving good hair today. I knew it because
you're serving.
We were late to show prep today because I was washing my hair. That was my fault. Shane H. Wilder said it looked like Alex was having a medical crisis.
Yeah.
Tim said he was reeking of alcohol and they had medical staff on standby because they were so worried. Yikes.
Okay, well,
that's very sad to hear. Boss N said you didn't. I heard Sydney coming up and assumed. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Shane H. Wilder said Stations of the Cross and Lenten fish fries always on point. Yeah, that's pretty much my big plan for Friday night. It's pretty exciting over here. Dingus Khan of Gongolia said, it was me who said that to the quartering. He's free Fridays, he said. He's never been asked, but I'm sure he'd consider it. Well, we did reach out to him a while back. I think that, it was like a long time ago. He was like dealing with...
we weren't remote at that time, and he wouldn't have wanted to travel, I'm guessing.
Right. There was some reason like he wasn't able to travel at the time, but remotely, I'm sure is like more doable for everybody. Mike said, for the Haynes Bert, so richly deserve. P.S. Bert is not a normie. He's normie adjacent. Happy Friday.
I saw people in the chat saying, I think I saw Pat the Plumber in the chat saying that Brett wants so badly to be a normie, but he's not. Trust me, man. I'm like, I still feel like a normie, and then I realized that like, there's like an Instagram reel of me talking about Henry Cavill setting boundaries with Millie Bobby Brown, and you're like, yeah, you can either be a normie or you can know about that discourse.
Yeah.
You can't really be both, as much as I would like to be.
I wouldn't even describe you as normie adjacent, but I'm sorry. That ship has sailed a long time ago. Shane H. Wilder said Letterboxd is just an app as far as I know.
Okay.
I'm literally downloading it right now. And this is, I wonder if you get to like, can you review like old movies? That's
sure.
like the point, right? It's not just for new stuff.
Yeah.
Cleggy said, shameless plug, follow my Letterboxd, Mike Clegg.
There you go.
Are we all going to start dropping our Letterboxd in the chat?
It's like, yeah, what do you, like, it's like your phone number? How about you give me your Letterboxd?
We should have made, a long time ago, we should have made a Letterboxd account for PCC, where we would have to, like, collaborate on our official review of each movie that we watched. But now it's been so many that I wouldn't even remember what we thought.
Yeah, I looked through there was like a post the other day talking about like what are some things you've actually liked in the last 5 years as far as releases. And I've liked a lot of things, but my mind always goes blank whenever somebody asks that type of question. And I was looking back at our reviews and, you know, for the most part, I liked a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
I liked the TMNT movie. I remember that.
It's like the one time where Mary liked it and I didn't.
I liked Argyle. We both liked Argyle.
But even Argyle, I wasn't, like I said, I loved the first half of Argyle. I disliked the second half.
I think you were wrong to dislike the second half. I think that was vindictive, but
maybe a little
go off. I think we're all caught up on the super chats. Do we have any on
No. We had the 20 earlier on Rumble, but we are all caught up, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
We did get to, I believe, 2 or 3 gifted memberships today, so thank you guys for that. Remember that memberships on the channel are open. There is exclusive content being made for you guys over there, not to mention a whole bunch of emojis that you can use. So that is another way now that you guys can help support this channel. So thank you guys all so much for that. One more here from Pop Culture Junkie says, I wish you both a great weekend. And Mary, hope your cold is toast by Monday.
Thank you very much. I hope so too.
All right, guys, before we go, hit the like button on the video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember that if you are not listening to the audio version of this podcast, you get additional content over there as well sometimes on the weekends. So that is another way that you can take in the PCC content, not PCP content, because then on the chat, Sovereign Citizen says, RIP PCP, this channel is dead. Well, I don't know what PCP is, man.
And not PPC either.
None of those. Or CCP.
Or CCP.
All right. Where can they find you, Mary?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. One more here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, yes, it's any and all movies. Mine is Shane H. Wilder. Duh. There you have it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see y'all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.